You've probably heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, as we've seen, some things look like they are constructed in a certain way, but they are not. Is it tabs, or is it simply a table without a border? Another object that we can use in Word to get a row and column structure and the look of tables is to actually insert an Excel spreadsheet into a Word document. Yes, I said it, we're actually going to be using Excel from within Word. When we do this, the spreadsheet is fully functional Excel, but it only exists in this document, and that's important to realize. In other words, we can't access it from Windows Explorer or from outside of this document itself. We will not find it stored as an Excel file anywhere on our computer. It is not the same either as linking or embedding an existing Excel worksheet. It is an object in this document, but in this document only. However, as I said, it does give us full Excel capabilities, including calculations, and that's really the true benefit. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's go ahead and move to a different portion of our document. I'm going to go ahead and just click off of Management and Personnel, just to deselect. Let's go ahead and turn off our non-printing characters to kind of clean things up. And we can also close down the navigation panel just to give us a nice clean interface. Now let's press Control End, because what we're looking for is near the end of the document. That'll move us all the way to the bottom, which should be roughly about page 16. Now if you scroll up, and I'm going to do so with my mouse, we should see that we have a section called Proposed Budget, and there's one of my infamous placeholders called Spreadsheet. This is where we want to start our work. I actually want to show you two things. I want to first show you how to insert a blank spreadsheet that you can simply start to use, and I also want to show you how you can use an existing spreadsheet. Let's start with the first one first. Let's press Delete to get rid of our placeholder. Make sure that our cursor is on a blank line. And then let's go to our favorite Insert tab. We talked a little bit ago about inserting a table. This time we actually want to insert a spreadsheet, but it's from the same option. When we click the down arrow for the table option, just below where it normally says Convert Text to Table, there's our Excel spreadsheet option. We give that a click, and really that's all there is to it. You're going to see your screen flash around a little bit, and then a spreadsheet appears. This is both an object on the page as well as an Excel spreadsheet, and it behaves in two different ways. By that, I mean you will see that we can actually resize the worksheet. There's little sizing handles, so if we wanted to make this the width of the page, we could certainly just drag it out to resize it. Currently, we know that we are in the edit mode because if you look carefully at the ribbon, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. This is actually the Excel ribbon. We still have Home, we still have Insert, we still have Page Layout, but Formulas, Data, and Review, this is Excel. Now, if you click off of this object, it goes back to Word. Again, your screen will flash around a little bit, and we can see that now we're back to our Word interface. In order to get back into editing the worksheet, we double-click. If we single-click, it selects it as an object on the page, meaning here we could cut and copy and align it. If we double-click, which I'm doing now, that puts us back into edit mode, and you see kind of the hash mark border as well as the appropriate tabs at the top. Now, I do hate to disappoint you, but this is not an Excel class. So beyond just showing you that this is here, we're not actually going to work with it. Everything that you would do in this object is actually 100% Excel. But I did need to show you how it could be inserted. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and delete it. A couple of ways you could do it. We'll simply click off to deselect, click back on it one time to select it once, and then we can press our delete key on the keyboard. That's just like deleting everything else, and it should go away. The second thing I want to show you is how you can actually import existing Excel data. Now this is different because this already exists as an Excel spreadsheet. We simply need to find it and insert it into our document. This is not the same as creating a table, but we do still start from our Insert tab. This time though, we need to go all the way over to the right into the text group, and from the object drop-down, we need to go ahead and say that we want to insert an object. We have two tabs at the top. We can create something brand new, or we can create something from a file. We already have an Excel file from which we want to select, so we'll do Create from File, and then we simply need to browse to find it. We need to make sure that we are on our desktop. that we're in our Chapter 6 Project Files folder, and then we can choose the Excel file that we're looking for. It's called You Got It Budget. We'll give that a double click. That brings us back to our object box. And there are a couple of things that are important here. Primarily that we can choose to link to the file. What that means is that if somebody goes out and modifies this Excel file, the next time we open the Word document, it will prompt us and it will say, you have linked data that has changed. Do you want to update the Word document or not? This allows us both to keep things linked without having to worry, did somebody ever change the data? But also to give us the ability to not use the update. For example, if we captured something at a certain date and time, like at the end of a quarter. Just know that linking is a really nice feature, so you're not constantly trying to update and reinsert information into Word. At this point, we'll simply say OK. It may take it a few seconds to think. And there we have our spreadsheet. Now again, this is just an object, so if we click on it, it gets sizing handles, and we can work with it just like other types of objects. For example, if it is too big to fit on the width of the page, we can simply shrink it down until the sizing becomes more appropriate. This may take a little bit of tweaking, but remember, the data is all here. It's simply a matter of now configuring it to work the way that we want it to work. More importantly, we need to recognize that this is Excel, even though right now it kind of looks like a picture. The difference between this method and inserting the worksheet from the table command is that if we double-click this, it actually launches the Excel application instead of kind of configuring our interface. So they do work a little bit differently, but the end result is the same. The real question is, do you want to create Excel data from scratch, or does it already exist somewhere else? And also, will you need to use it somewhere else? Because if you use the table option and insert a worksheet there, remember, it is only available from within this document. I think at this point it is important to recognize, though, that we do not have to use an Excel spreadsheet in order to perform calculations. If you're doing advanced things, then Excel certainly does that better than Word. But we can do all the basic things like sum, count, average, and so forth in a Word table too. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that for you. In order to do that, we want to find an area of our business plan called Market Potential. So let's go ahead and do a Control F to bring up our find. Let's type Market Potential. We should just find one match. We can go ahead and select that, and that should take us roughly to page 9. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see that we do have a place that should be converted from text to a table. So let's go ahead and do that fairly quickly. We'll delete our placeholder. Let's go ahead and close our navigation pane so we can have lots of room. And let's turn on our non-printing characters from the Home tab so we can make sure that it's going to convert the way that we want. It appears as if there are some things that we need to fix, primarily because we see tab stops at the very beginning of each of these lines. But that's actually okay, because what that's going to do is make worst case scenario the second column. There is no label at the first column. And likewise with the second row, capture 0.5% of available market is also supposed to be in the second column. So let's just take a moment to look at this and see if there's anything else that we may need to fix. It actually looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and make a selection and convert this text to a table using tab stops as our delimiters. We'll start by selecting the text, go up to Insert, Table, and Convert Text to Table. We'll say OK. And now we have our nice table that we want to work with. The whole point here was to talk about calculations. And the calculated fields are actually at the bottom. Gross profit to You Got It. This is simply a calculation of multiplying the total number of potential clients by the amount spent on external training per year. But right now, this is not a calculated figure. It's actually hard-coded. So let's see if we can fix that. But before we do that, we need to take a look at the structure of the table itself. Because just like in Excel, when you say equals B1 times C5, we need to do the same thing here. Unfortunately, we don't get headings, but we still can use the same type of terminology. So we need to take column 1, column 2, so that's going to be B, and then row 1, 2, 3. So we need to multiply B3 times B4. And that's what we're going to do in the bottom row. In order to access this, we need to use our Table Contextual tabs. We need to go to the Layout tab. And in the Layout tab on the far right side, you see an option under the Data group for Formula. Notice that Word does try to make things easy for us. So if we were just adding up a column, we can use words like above and below. We can't do that in Excel, but we can do it here. Unfortunately, that's not what we need. So we're going to erase that. And we're going to use the designations that we just said. We always start with the equal sign, then we'll type the addresses B3, the asterisk for multiplication, and then B4. That's a fairly simple calculation, but you can see how it works just like Excel would work. Now, one other thing we can do is we can apply a currency format so we don't have to try to type the $sign. We'll select that from the number format dropdown. Look at our number right now, 509,516. We'll click OK. And we get exactly the same number. However, at this point, if we click once, we can see that this is actually now a field, a calculated field. One thing that's important to realize is if you change numbers as part of a calculation in Word, it does not automatically update like it would in Excel. So if this number of $434 spent on each external training per employee per year changed, let's say 534, if we then move off of that, notice the number didn't change. If we're going to use calculations in tables, we have to remember that those numbers may need to be refreshed. We do that by right-clicking on the field and simply choosing Update Field. Now our number is updated. That is something, though, that's very important to remember about calculations in tables. But with that said, you now can see the wonderful array of options that we have as far as inserting tables and things that look like tables into Word documents. Whether we're inserting them blank, or we're converting text to tables, or we're leveraging the full power of Excel, all of them give us options to work with rows and columns of text or numbers within a Word document.